I never expected to find love among the stars. As a maintenance engineer on Earth's first deep space research vessel, the Stellaris, my days were filled with routine system checks and repairing malfunctioning equipment. That all changed when we made first contact with the Lyrians, a highly advanced civilization that looked remarkably human, save for their iridescent skin and mesmerizing purple eyes. Princess Astra was unlike any being I'd encountered. She moved with an ethereal grace, her silvery hair floating as if underwater despite the ship's artificial gravity. When our eyes first met in the diplomatic reception hall, I felt an instant connection that transcended our different species. The way she looked at me made my heart race and my palms sweat. Protocol dictated strict professional boundaries between crew and our alien guests, but I kept running into her in the hydroponics garden where she studied Earth plants with childlike wonder, in the observation deck where she gazed at the stars with a look of longing, in the mess hall where she delighted in sampling human foods. Each encounter left me more intrigued by her gentle nature and brilliant mind. "Your species fascinates me," she confessed one evening as we watched a nebula paint the viewport in swirling colors. "You're so young in cosmic terms, yet you dream so boldly. The way you feel things so intensely, it stirs something in me I've never experienced before." Her hand brushed mine, sending an electric tingle up my arm. The diplomatic mission was meant to last just 2 more weeks. I knew I was treading dangerous waters, but I couldn't help being drawn into her orbit. Little did I know that our blossoming connection would soon be tested by an ancient law that forbade royal Lyrians from forming bonds with lesser species, a law that carried the penalty of exile or worse. But how could something that felt so right be wrong? As Princess Astra's crystalline tears fell in zero gravity, I realized I had a choice to make, one that would either unite our worlds or tear us apart forever. I've aimed to build intrigue while staying within appropriate content bounds. Would you like me to modify anything about the tone or setup? The diplomats were gathering in the Stellaris' grand conference chamber, their voices a low murmur of concern. I stood at my usual maintenance post, pretending to check the environmental controls while stealing glances at Astra. She sat rigid beside her father, High Commander Theron, her usual radiance dimmed by the weight of tradition. "The Earth Alliance presents unprecedented opportunities." The High Commander's voice resonated through the chamber. "But we must proceed with caution. Our laws have preserved our civilization for millennia." His eyes, sharp as cosmic rays, swept the chamber before landing on his daughter. The message was clear: duty before desire. During the recess, I found myself in the ship's arboretum, seeking solace among the plants we brought from Earth. The artificial sunlight cast dancing shadows through the leaves, reminding me of lazy summer days back home. That's where Astra found me, her approach silent as starlight. "My father suspects," she whispered, her luminescent skin pulsing with anxiety. "The royal guards watch my every move now." She reached for a flowering vine, her fingers trembling. "But they don't understand. Our scientists have studied human emotional capacity. Your species feels love more deeply than any we've encountered. What I feel for you, it defies everything we thought we knew." I wanted to hold her, to promise everything would be all right. But we both knew the stakes. The Lyrian Codex of Succession was absolute. Any royal who formed a bond with a non-Lyrian would forfeit their right to rule. Worse, they would face banishment to the outer colonies, never to see their homeworld again. "There's something else," Astra continued, her voice barely audible. "Something my people haven't revealed to Earth yet. Our physiology. When we form emotional bonds, they become physical, permanent. Some of our elders can already sense the changes in me. The way my bioluminescence responds to your presence, how my heart rate synchronizes with yours when we're close." The ship's warning chime interrupted us. Another diplomatic session was about to begin. As Astra turned to leave, her hand brushed against a flowering earth rose. The petals instantly changed color, shifting from red to an otherworldly azure that matched her eyes. "That's not supposed to happen," I breathed, staring at the transformed flower. Astra's eyes widened with a mixture of wonder and fear. "It's already starting," she whispered. "The physiological changes are progressing faster than I thought. If anyone sees evidence of the bond..." She trailed off, her gaze distant. There are ancient stories of this happening before, but the records were purged. All I know is that those couples vanished from our history. Back in the conference chamber, I noticed increased security, more Lyrian guards than usual, their crystalline armor glinting under the lights. High Commander Theron was deep in discussion with his advisors, gesturing at data streams only their enhanced vision could decode. Dr. Chen, our chief xenobiologist, cornered me after the session. The electromagnetic readings around the ship have been unusually active, she said, showing me her tablet. And it seems to concentrate wherever you and the princess. She gave me a knowing look. Be careful. Some of the Lyrian elders have been asking questions about human biochemistry. Very specific questions. As I lay in my quarters that night, I couldn't sleep. The Rose's transformation played on repeat in my mind. What were the Lyrians hiding about their true nature? Why were they so afraid of interspecies bonds? And most importantly, what would happen to Astra if we continued down this path? The ship's viewing port offered a perfect view of the Lyrian flagship floating alongside us, its crystalline structure reflecting the starlight like a diamond in space. Somewhere in that ship, ancient secrets were buried in their databases, answers we needed to understand what was happening between us. A soft chime indicated an incoming private message. It was from Astra, sent through a heavily encrypted channel. Meet me at the Quantum Lab at midnight. I found something in our historical archives that they missed during the purge, but we have to hurry. I don't think we have much time left before the changes become irreversible. And then they'll know for certain. I checked the time. 3 hours until midnight. 3 hours to decide if I was willing to risk everything. My career, possibly even diplomatic relations between our species, for answers. For her, the maintenance access panel to the Quantum Lab would be easy enough to override, but getting past the Lyrian guards. The rose in the Arboretum wasn't the only thing transforming. I'd been ignoring the small changes in myself. Heightened sensitivity to electromagnetic fields, strange dreams filled with crystalline structures and flowing energy, and most disturbing of all, occasional flickers of bioluminescence beneath my skin when my emotions ran high. Whatever was happening between us, whatever ancient taboo we were breaking, it was changing us both, and soon we wouldn't be able to hide it anymore. The Quantum Lab hummed with an eerie quiet as I slipped through the maintenance access. Astra was already there, her silvery form barely visible in the dim light of the holographic displays. She'd somehow managed to bypass the guards, though I didn't dare ask how. The less we knew about each other's methods, the better. "Look at this," she whispered, her fingers dancing through ancient Lyrian text that floated in the air. These records are from before the Great Purge, hidden in fragments of corrupted data that survived. The symbols rearranged themselves, forming images that made my breath catch. They showed Lyrians and other species, their bodies sharing the same bioluminescent patterns, their energy signatures intertwined. They called it the resonance, Astra explained, her voice trembling with excitement and fear. Our ancestors believed it was the universe's way of marking true soul bonds, transcending species barriers. But something happened, some catastrophe that made them fear these connections. They buried the truth, created laws to prevent it. A sudden noise in the corridor made us freeze. Footsteps approached, then passed. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure the guards could hear it. Astra's skin pulsed with nervous light, and to my shock, I could feel my own skin beginning to respond, creating faint patterns that matched hers. "The changes are accelerating," she said, reaching for my hand. Where our skin touched, light danced between us like miniature auroras. According to these records, once the resonance begins, it can't be stopped. It will keep growing stronger until... She paused, her eyes wide with wonder and fear. "Until what?" I asked, though part of me already knew the answer. The way we could sense each other's presence, the growing connection that felt like it was weaving our very atoms together. Before she could answer, alarms blared throughout the ship. Red emergency lights bathed the lab in crimson. Warning: unknown energy signature detected in Quantum Lab 3. Security protocols engaged. Astra's face went pale. They've detected the resonance. We've run out of time. She quickly transferred data to a quantum crystal, pressing it into my hand. Everything we've learned is in here, but you need to know. The records speak of a final stage, a transformation that. The lab doors hissed open. High Commander Theron stood there, flanked by royal guards, their crystalline armor crackling with contained energy. His eyes narrowed as he took in the scene, his daughter's hand in mine, the matching patterns of light dancing across our skin. "So it's true," he said, his voice heavy with something that sounded almost like grief. "The ancient signs are manifesting. Daughter, you know what this means. The laws are absolute. The laws are based on lies." Astra shot back, standing her ground. "You know what's in the ancient records. You've always known. Tell them what really happened during the Great Purge. Tell them why you're so afraid of the resonance." The commander's composed facade cracked slightly. For a moment, I saw profound sadness in his eyes. "You don't understand the forces you're dealing with." When the transformation completes, he stopped, looking at the growing intensity of light between us. "It's too late. The process must be stopped, whatever the cost." The guards raised their weapons, not at us, but at the lab's containment field generators. "If we can't separate them," one of them said, "we'll have to contain the reaction. The entire lab will be sealed in a quantum stasis field." Time seemed to slow down. I could feel Astra's panic through our growing bond, could sense her desperate plan forming. The quantum crystal in my hand grew warm, humming with stored data. We had seconds to decide. The guards were moving into position. Commander Theron was barking orders. And somewhere deep inside us, the resonance was building towards something momentous, a transformation that would either unite us forever or tear us apart. Astra's eyes met mine, glowing with determination. "Do you trust me?" she asked telepathically, a new development that should have shocked me but somehow felt natural. "Always," I responded in kind. She smiled, her entire body beginning to shine like a newborn star. "Then hold on. What comes next will change everything." The guards fired at the containment field generators just as Astra raised her hands. Energy crackled around us, the resonance reaching levels that set every sensor on the ship screaming. The last thing I saw was Commander Theron's face, not angry now, but afraid. Not for himself, I realized, but for what was about to be unleashed. The world exploded into pure light. When my vision cleared, we weren't in the quantum lab anymore. Somehow, Astra had teleported us into the crystalline network of maintenance tunnels running between the ship's hulls. Her body was still radiating intense energy, and mine had begun to match her output, creating interference patterns in the air around us. The resonance didn't just create bonds between species. Astra gasped as we ran, her voice echoing both in my ears and in my mind. It gave them access to abilities that neither species had alone. The ancient records, they weren't just about love. They were about evolution. Warning klaxons blared throughout the ship. Through our growing connection, I could sense the guards' movements, their crystalline armor leaving traces of energy I could somehow track. But more disturbing was the massive power surge I detected from the Lyrian flagship. They were charging their main quantum arrays, technology they'd never revealed to Earth. "My father isn't just trying to stop us," Astra said, pulling me into a hidden alcove as guards rushed past. "He's trying to prevent the truth from spreading. The resonance. It's contagious. When others see it, it awakens something in them too. That's why they're so afraid." As if to prove her point, I noticed the ship's plants were reacting to our presence, growing and evolving at impossible speeds wherever we passed. The quantum crystal in my pocket was pulsing in sync with our combined energy signature. It stored data somehow integrating with the transformation happening to us. There's more, I realized, newfound knowledge flowing through our bond. Your people, they weren't always crystalline beings, were they? The records you found, they're not just history. They're a warning. Astra's eyes widened. How did you? She stopped, understanding dawning. The final stage of transformation. It's not just changing us. It's unlocking genetic memory. A massive shudder ran through the ship. Through the crystalline walls, we could see the Lyrian flagship moving into position, its quantum arrays fully charged. Commander Theron's voice boomed through all channels. This is your final warning. Surrender now, or we will be forced to initiate Protocol Zero. Protocol Zero, I asked, though the answer was already forming in my mind through our shared consciousness. A quantum pulse designed to sever the resonance, Astra whispered, but they don't understand. The bond can't be broken now. Attempting to do so could tear reality itself. Another shock wave hit the ship, stronger this time. Through the hull's transparent sections, we saw other Lyrian ships emerging from faster-than-light travel, surrounding the Stellaris. But something was wrong with their formation, almost like they were positioning themselves for. It's not just about us anymore, Astra said, her voice filled with horror. Look at their energy signatures. They're going to create a quantum containment field around the entire ship. They'd rather risk diplomatic catastrophe with Earth than let the truth spread. The quantum crystal suddenly grew scorching hot. As data streamed through our enhanced consciousness, we realized the terrible truth. The Lyrians weren't trying to stop our transformation. They were trying to prevent what came after, because the final stage of the resonance didn't just change the bonded pair. It created a cascade effect, awakening dormant potential in all nearby life forms. The Great Purge. I gasped as understanding hit me. It wasn't about preventing interspecies relationships. It was about preventing mass awakening. Your ancestors locked away humanity's true potential, everyone's potential, to maintain control. Astra's face set with determination. And now we have to choose. We can surrender, let them suppress the truth again, or we can complete the transformation, knowing it will change not just us, but everyone on this ship. Maybe everyone in this entire sector of space. Through the windows, we could see the quantum containment field starting to form, a web of energy connecting the Lyrian ships. We had minutes, maybe seconds, to decide. The power building between us was reaching critical levels, our bodies becoming more energy than matter. The ship's communication system crackled to life. Dr. Chen's voice came through, tight with concern. Whatever you two are doing, it's affecting everything. The plants, the ship's crystals, even our own DNA. It's all beginning to resonate. We need to know, do we fight this, or do we let it happen? Astra's hand found mine, our fingers intertwining as light poured from our joined hands. My father thought he was protecting everyone, she said softly. But some truths can't stay buried forever. Some changes can't be stopped once they begin. The quantum field was almost complete. In moments, we'd be cut off from the rest of the universe. Through our enhanced senses, we could feel the crew's confusion, fear, and wonder. The resonance was already touching them, awakening something long dormant. We had to make a choice, but as the energy built to impossible levels and reality itself seemed to bend around us, we realized this was never just about two people from different worlds falling in love. It was about the next step in cosmic evolution, a step that some had tried to prevent, but perhaps was always meant to happen. The quantum containment field was seconds from completion when we made our choice. Astra and I reached out not just to each other, but to everyone on the Stellaris, opening our minds and sharing what we learned. Through our enhanced connection, we broadcast the truth stored in the quantum crystal, not just as data, but as lived experience. In that moment, the entire crew felt what we felt. They saw the ancient records come alive in their minds, experiencing the history that had been hidden, the first resonance, the fear it caused, the great purge. Everything became clear. But more importantly, they felt the connection itself, the pure potential that had been locked away inside all sentient beings. Father, Astra projected her thoughts to the Lyrian flagship, her voice resonating through both space and consciousness. You can't stop this with force. Look at your own memories, the ones you've buried so deep. You knew this day would come. Through our shared vision, we saw Commander Theron falter. His own crystalline structure began to pulse with long-suppressed energy. In his mind, we glimpsed a younger version of himself, watching his own parents being separated by the same laws he now enforced. The pain of that memory had driven him to protect his daughter the only way he knew how, by keeping her from the same fate. But as the resonance spread, something unexpected happened. The quantum containment field, instead of suppressing the transformation, began to amplify it. The very technology meant to contain us became a conductor for change. The Lyrian ship's perfect formation created a vast network, linking not just our vessel, but every ship in range. Dr. Chen's voice came through again, filled with awe. The DNA changes. They're not random. They're following a pattern, like they're remembering something. Every species, every life form. We're all returning to something we used to be. The transformation accelerated. Throughout the ship, humans and Lyrians alike began to glow with internal light. Plants in the arboretum burst into impossible colors. Even the ship's crystalline components seemed to awaken, becoming more than mere technology. Commander Theron's flagship suddenly changed course, breaking the containment formation. "Stop the protocol," his voice cracked with emotion. "I remember now. The resonance. It was never meant to be feared. It was meant to guide us all home." As the final stage of transformation took hold, we understood. The Lyrians hadn't always been crystalline beings, and humans hadn't always been limited to their current form. Every species had voluntarily locked away their true nature eons ago, spreading across the galaxy in simplified forms, waiting for the right moment to remember. Our love hadn't just triggered a personal transformation. It had activated an ancient failsafe, a way to restore what had been lost. The quantum crystal in my pocket wasn't just a data storage device. It was a key, meant to be found when the universe was ready. Light flooded every corner of space as the transformation completed. When it faded, we found ourselves changed, but not in the way anyone expected. We were still ourselves, but more, beings of both matter and energy, able to shift between forms at will. Around us, the crew marveled at their own transformations, each unique, but all connected. But the biggest surprise came from deep space. As our enhanced senses adjusted, we detected signals, thousands of them, coming from all across the galaxy. Other ships, other worlds, all awakening in response to our transformation. The change wasn't limited to our small corner of space. It was spreading at quantum speed to every living thing. Commander Theron's ship docked with the Stellaris, and he stepped aboard, his crystalline form now fluid and radiant. "The prophecy," he said, looking at Astra and me with new understanding. It wasn't about preventing change. It was about waiting for the right catalyst. A love pure enough to remind us all of who we really are. As the realization of what we'd done spread through the ship, a new signal caught our attention. It was coming from Earth, but not just from its surface. Something deep within the planet itself was awakening, responding to the change in its children, ready to help guide humanity through its awakening. Astra asked, her energy form intertwining with mine. Looking at Earth through our new senses, seeing the potential stirring in every living thing, I smiled. This wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. And somehow, I knew we'd only scratched the surface of what was possible. The universe was remembering itself, all because two beings from different worlds dared to love. As we prepared to return to Earth, now transformed and truly awake, we carried within us the knowledge that the greatest adventures still lay ahead. Earth's transformation was unlike anything in recorded history. As our ship approached, we watched cities shimmer with newfound energy as humans everywhere began to understand their true potential. The planet itself seemed to pulse with life, ancient structures buried deep beneath the surface awakening after millions of years of dormancy. Dr. Chen's research team quickly discovered that the changes weren't just physical or energetic. They were unlocking abilities that humans had long dismissed as imagination or fiction. Telepathy, matter manipulation, quantum consciousness. Abilities that had been locked away for so long were now becoming natural as breathing. Astra and I became teachers of sorts, helping others understand and control their awakening abilities. The resonance we shared had made us uniquely suited to guide both humans and Lyrians through their transformations. Commander Theron, freed from the burden of maintaining ancient restrictions, proved to be an invaluable ally in bridging the gaps between different species. "It's strange," he said one evening as we watched a group of children playing, their forms shifting effortlessly between physical and energy states. "For generations, we thought we were protecting the galaxy by maintaining the separation. Instead, we were just delaying the inevitable reunion. The quantum crystal that had started it all now sat in a museum on Earth, its data freely available to all. But its true purpose had been more than just storing information. It had been a reminder, a way to recognize ourselves when we were ready to remember. Other artifacts began surfacing around the galaxy, each adding pieces to the story of why our ancestors had chosen to temporarily forget their true nature. Perhaps most surprisingly, the awakening didn't lead to chaos as some had feared. Instead, it brought a deeper understanding of our connection to each other and the universe itself. Wars ceased as people realized the futility of fighting what was essentially themselves. Environmental damage began to reverse as humanity's enhanced consciousness naturally aligned with Earth's rhythms. Astra and I married in a ceremony that blended human and Lyrian traditions, our energies permanently intertwined in ways that the old laws had never imagined possible. The celebration was attended by beings from across the galaxy, all connected through the shared experience of awakening. You know, Astra said as we danced, our forms shifting between physical and energy states in harmony with the music. When I first saw you in that maintenance bay, I never imagined we'd end up changing the entire universe. I laughed, remembering how nervous I'd been just working near her. I was just trying not to short out any equipment when you walked by. Now look at us, we're literally dancing among the stars. As if to prove my point, we let our energy forms expand, dancing through the aurora borealis that now permanently decorated Earth's skies. Below us, cities glowed with conscious light, and the ocean sparkled with the bioluminescence of awakened sea life. The story of our love and the great awakening it triggered became legend, told and retold across the galaxy. But we knew it wasn't just our story. It was everyone's story, the tale of a universe remembering itself through the simple power of connection. As I hold Astra now, watching our energy patterns swirl together against the backdrop of stars, I understand that this isn't really an ending. The universe is vast, and there are still countless mysteries to explore, new forms of consciousness to discover, and endless possibilities to unfold. But whatever comes next, we'll face it together, not just Astra and me, but all of us, awakened and united, ready to write the next chapter in the greatest love story ever told, the story of a universe learning to love itself again. After all, as we now know, every particle of existence carries the potential for connection. Sometimes it just takes two hearts brave enough to resonate together, creating a harmony that reminds everything else how to sing.